not everyone may have an opportunity to experience it, it is hard to ignore or admire those that manage to survive through trauma attained by abuse. Unfortunately, fictional media has a nasty habit of portraying this overcoming as a simple bridge, in which the character that goes through said trauma get over it unscathed in the end. Of course, those that actually went through trauma can tell you that that is the biggest, bald-faced lie they could ever churn out. While my case may not be as extreme as others, I can say with certainty that my childhood trauma still have a strong grasp on my psyche, even to this day. On that note, I was fairly surprised that two particular video games that dealt with trauma survival and abuse dealt with it in a very real fashion. For those that don't know anything or a lot about the caves that are Injustice 2 or Persona 5 Strikers, don't worry, I've got glow sticks at the ready. But for those that have suffered, I apologize in advance if the bats in here get a little hostile for some reason. In Injustice 2, Superman has gone completely off his rocker after the Joker made him kill his own wife and unborn son. So, in retaliation, like any normal person would do, Superman impaled the Joker with his bare fist. Since then, fan favorite Harley Quinn has been trying to make her name for herself, while simultaneously acting as Batman's wild card. Anywho, there's a part in the story where she is sent along with Green Arrow and Black Canary to stop one of Scarecrow's latest fear toxin schemes. For those unaware, this toxin is basically a hallucinogenic gas that forces victims to experience their own worst fears, no matter what it is. While initially immune, Harley claims, quote, she used to huff this stuff for kicks. However, before taking off, Scarecrow sets off a grenade with a released version of the toxin inside that does affect her. What ends up taking place is nothing short of fascinating. Roll the clip.
Harley, darling. Look at you. Such a big girl. Cosplaying a superhero. LARPing in the Batcave. But you hear it, don't you?
Hear what?
The real you, buried under the floorboards. Scratch, scratch, scratching to get out. The one who cut her friends' throats. And laugh about it. That's my girl. Oh, Harley. Always such a disappointment. Why do I bother?
Ain't no slick fella with a cheap suit and cheaper grin telling me who I am ever again. We had mad love once upon a time, but now that's over, Mr. J.
Yeah, you saw and heard that right. Harley still thought Joker as a lover of some sorts deep down, despite the abuse she received. Had this been handled poorly, it would have been a lot less realistic, and not develop a character in the slightest. Following its old patterns, reacting to certain triggers, those are all things that someone who suffers from trauma basically do on a day-to-day basis. All this was essentially a dramatized therapy session, but it does surprisingly well in terms of concept. It may take a while, but soon enough, Harley will be well on the road to redemption. And as outlandish as this X-claim may sound, perhaps a few phantom thieves could help her along the way. Here's a little something for those that don't know squat about the Persona world. In it, a group of people, usually teens, obtain a unique power via unknown mystical means that allow them to summon a manifestation of said person's ego and id, aka a persona. In the latest game of the series, Persona 5 Strikers, these personas are ranked as a, quote, manifestation of one's will of rebellion, and often reference historical thieves in history and literature. However, that is not what the trauma I refer to comes from. Rather, it's from the bosses or monarchs of the gyms. Thing is, these guys weren't selfish, heartless fast-stitches right out the gate like the regular Persona 5. They were just normal people with big dreams that had been distorted and twisted due to unfortunate circumstances. Take Ango Natsume, prodigal writer from his grandfather, for instance.
Sure about this? Awarding him the grand prize for that? Ango Natsume. The kid's entered every contest, but he's never made it past the first stage. He's as stubborn as he is incompetent. What's more, his writing is so painfully generic, it only becomes more obvious when you compare it to the other candidates.
What? That voice. Is it Natsume?
It can't be. Acknowledged my work.
It's fine. He's the great Sogo Natsume's grandson, remember? Brand recognition is a huge part of marketability. Nobody gives a rat's ass about what's beyond the cover. Though a certain someone seems to think he's actually worth a damn.
Poor kid can't even see just how hopeless he really is. Seriously, it's pathetic.
Oh, I'm trying as hard as I can.
No skin off my nose, so long as he keeps raking it in. We hit the jackpot with that one, and I plan on riding him straight to the top. And if he does by some miracle make something decent of himself, well then everyone wins, right?
While the other monarchs have vastly different recollections in these trauma cells, they still reflect the same thing, a moment in their lifetimes that tore their hopes and dreams anew. Once the Phantom Thieves beaten them into the ground, these dethroned kings and queens become sympathetic messes of remorse and self-anger. Once their hearty floods stop, one of the Phantom Thieves, usually one that is somewhat similar or closely related, give them a shoulder and give them the motivation to give up their crown and atone for manipulating the masses. While my cases may not scale to those I just mentioned, it still hurts when I think back on those days when they were still fresh scars. When I was in Idaho, Gabriel Jacobson, a boy outside of my class but went to the same youth center, had the nerve, gall, and audacity to miscall my sexuality for 3 grades straight. His basis? I had an interest in Scholastic's I Spy computer games and Tom and Jerry cartoons. I kid you not, and yes, it was as stupid as it sounds. Unfortunately for me, I only had a semester's worth of buffering until new scars were applied. Cindy Peterson, my art teacher in Lincoln, England, had a my way or the highway attitude that didn't really mesh well with my perception on the topic. She would always find some reason for me to not get the best marks for any given project, no matter how small. But if you thought being picked on for your interests and or talent was bad, how about being judged for your own opinion? Yeah, I went through that in New Mexico with Samuel, aka LMAO Wadid. He was making a fan game based off of a series we both liked, and was turning to fellow fans for some name ideas. Feeling brave, I shared one of my thoughts, and he really liked it, even name-dropping me in a now-deleted video. However, when it came time to post it on DeviantArt, he completely botched it. When I asked, he said it was a mistake he made that he just so happened to like better. Slightly annoyed, I tried keeping my cool for the most part, dropping some comments here and there. And no, I did not make death threats. I'm not like that. I don't know what happened exactly, but my emotions got the better of me on one. From there, he decided to rip me a new one, by getting on my case for where he asked for my opinion in the first place, despite him obviously asking for it. Even though I apologized to him, he still blocked me for a respective measurement. Looking back on that last one, there are still times nowadays, and even now, where I wish I could find a way to patch things up with him. And while that could be possible in Universe 11,000, I still wish it would happen someday. And as a result of all three, my mind's always been in this perpetual state of self-doubt and apathy. As horrific as trauma can get, though, people that suffered through it can recover from it in some way. It still lingers, and it's not exactly a Speedy Gonzales process, despite media portraying it as such. It's a slow and grueling movement that has plenty of opportunities for vulnerabilities to take charge. Even then, that doesn't mean those that react to triggers for several months after the fact are weak in any facet. Of course, these can result in the victim becoming stronger later on, but it's not exactly something that can last forever.